And hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Accommodation Show. This week, we are joined by Chris de Closey from Switch Hotel Solutions. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Bart.
This is your second time visiting the show, the second time I've had you on. We've both grown a lot as business people, as individuals. And what I love about you and your journey and your story is that you have proven yourself through time to be, I don't know, the real deal. You've grown your business so much. We're just talking, you've got roughly around about 60 people working for you, be it cleaners, be it staff. You've built up your business in multiple different facets. And I admire it's hard to meet people that don't just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk. So congratulations, and it's so good to have you back.
Thanks, mate. What an intro. Yeah, good to be back. Obviously, things have grown a lot since we last spoke. Initially when we caught up, I couldn't even remember how many rooms we're sort of managing as part of our short-term rental businesses, but we've also got Switch, the consulting company as well. So in terms of consulting, we're now looking after about 65 hotels, motels, resorts across Australia, including short-term rental brands as well. Providing a suite of services from sales, marketing, and revenue services as well. And then we've also got the short-term rental brands too. So we have three brands that currently operate all on the Gold Coast, and we're now looking after about 350 properties under management.
It's just insane. I mean, every time I talk to you, you're like, "Oh, we've just added more properties here, there, and everywhere," which is a real testament to your ambition for growth and doing that sort of thing. But the other thing that sort of strikes me is with the accommodation show and with the accommodation professionals group and the training that we deliver, it's always been about accommodation as a category. Just saying, hey, it doesn't matter if you're a hotel, motel, you're a campsite, you're still providing somewhere for people to stay, to lodge. And there's going to be differences between each of those different streams, but there's going to be also a lot of commonality in terms of solving people's problems.
Yeah, very much so. I think that's the big thing is that a lot of people get caught up in the fact that, I look after a short-term rental. It's very different to a hotel. Or I look after a caravan park. It's different to just a glamping site and all these different things that people get caught up with. And they often forget that at the end of the day, we're all selling somewhere for someone to sleep, regardless of what it is and how it works out. And we're all constantly pushing that to ensure that we're getting the best outcome for those operators. At the end of the day, whether you're a five-star hotel or a three-star hotel or a holiday park, the premise is still the same. The metrics and the data and everything that everybody has to look at doesn't change. It's just how you interpret that data to suit your needs.
Yeah, and you're ultimately providing experiences for people, right? And it doesn't matter which of those different categories you're in, people still want to have a great experience. And then there's a price point which is going to come into it, which you've got to kind of balance between the two.
Yeah, very much so. It's all about providing that unique offering that you're looking for. There's a lot of similar hotels out there, and that's great. People are always happy to stay somewhere. If you're looking for that unique offering or that unique experience, again, it's about how you market that to get those right types of customers for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look, as a reminder, can you kind of tell us how you got to where you are today and sort of what that start of the journey is? Because I do remember it, and I do remember you telling me, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." But the details is what I'd like to know a little bit more about. So tell me about how Switch you got to the stage where you're like, "I'm going to set up my own business."
Yeah. So initially when I started Switch, I was working for, I've always been in hotels from the start. So I started working in hotels and I was in hotels for about 10 years. From that point in time, I made the move to Expedia, the online travel agency, and was working there for quite some time. Whilst I was at Expedia, I saw these guys with these consulting businesses. And these guys have been in the industry for quite some time, owning their own companies. And they'd often come to us and they'd suggest a strategy. So they'd say, how can we get this property to sell more rooms? We'd give them the strategy on what they needed to do to sell those rooms, and then they would straight up rebrand it as their own. So I thought, I think I can do better than what these guys are doing, and I have the opportunity now to really put my money where my mouth is, and quit my job a month before I got married, and decided that I wanted to start my own gig. And within the first month and a half, I'd already replaced the amount of income that I was earning from Expedia, and then grew. So that was in 2019. We did that. Obviously, 2020, as everyone understands, was a fantastic year for what happened in tourism with COVID. I thought COVID was going to be an interesting period. I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out. Like a lot of tourism businesses, people probably thought that that was going to be it. But I was always confident that there'd be an opportunity to grow it again at some point. After probably 5 months of COVID or 4 months of COVID, actually probably not even that much, maybe even 2 months, we started signing more clients again. People were looking for an edge in the market. Obviously, we had to adjust pricing structures and things to make sure that it was competitive for what we were offering.
Mm.
But then we had the ability to really grow the business. So within the first sort of 8 months after COVID, I then put Luke, my general manager, on with us, and he joined the team, and we've just grown exponentially since then. So that was 2020, late 2020, 2021. Now, inside Switch alone, we've got 12 staff members, and the team looks after a range of services. And then obviously all my other staff within our holiday letting businesses as well. So we've got a fantastic team, a big team, and it's continuing to keep growing as the businesses all grow as well.
Yeah, and without getting so there's just so many things to unpack there. By the way, you starting up a business a month before you're getting married is pretty insane, my friend. And the fact that you got both of them going at the same time, doing the wedding and the business, which is incredible. But without being salesy about the business, I really don't like being like that on our podcast. It's all about trying to provide value so everyone can learn from your experience and your journey. What are the kind of the key sort of fundamentals of Switch? Because obviously it's a new business. It's not an incumbent or whatever. It's not like we just do this. It's like you've been trying to fulfill specific needs within the market.
That's right. So yeah, it was all about identifying that there was that niche within the management rights space. So management rights was where we started, and a lot of people would understand management rights. If they don't, it's a fantastic business model. I won't jump into that here because we'll spend all day talking about it.
Can you give a quick synopsis of management rights, because it's relatively straightforward, but it might help a few people that maybe not be local or don't understand how it works.
Yeah. So management rights is essentially somebody buys the rights to do the short-term letting and the caretaking of a building. They then have the ability to manage that building. So, for example, they might be looking after a property in the Gold Coast. There's 25 rooms in the holiday letting pool. There might be 60 rooms in the total building. They have the rights to manage the building. It doesn't stop people from choosing to work with other operators. However, they then have the rights to manage the reception, and they own a property there as well. And they'll take a percentage for the services that they run. So they might take, say, 20% of the bookings that come in, and they'll organise the cleaning services, the linen services, and everything else that happens in the department.
So if you're in the short-term rental space, a lot of people that are getting into it, the typical journey is start off with one or two and then sort of build up and keep it going. But here you have that opportunity to take on 10, 20 units at a time that are managed for you as well. And your function's a little bit different in terms of you're really trying to find the people to bring them in, and then also work on that experience side.
That's correct, yeah. So it's about they have the opportunity to buy the business straight away, and they're buying it from an existing operator. A lot of the time people are choosing to buy them firstly because the returns can be quite substantial, depending on the business that you're buying and the region that you're buying in. You could be talking anywhere from a 10% return on your cash up to 25, 30%, depending on the business that you're buying and different things. So there's certainly a lot of money to be made in it, and people will buy into that as an opportunity to step into the industry and really learn on the go whilst they're doing it. So we found that niche works really well for us. A lot of people are buying properties or buying into these managed rights, whether it's a syndicate or buying it by themselves. And they'll focus on the things that they can see right in front of them. So they'll focus on making sure that the rooms are clean and that they're checking people in and being polite to them. They'll focus on making sure the gardens look good. But they often forget about the things that they can't immediately see. It's just how are they marketing their business? What is their revenue strategy? How is their sales and their social media strategy happening? So we'll often find that gets left by the wayside just because there's so many moving pieces to a management rights business. And we feel that niche falling to provide that really expert level support at a fraction of the cost of what it will cost to hire full-time team members in each role.
Yeah, right. So the journey is, so you've got the experience in hotels and you're working on the ground in the hotels?
Yeah, so I was a front office manager doing the relief general manager work as well. So it was all very operational based. I spent time in housekeeping as well, reservations. So really had a full breadth of everything that was happening, and had an understanding of how it was all working. And When I was with Mantra, they were very good to me in terms of developing you and giving you all of the skills that you need to understand more of the business as you continue to grow with them. And then, once I made the move to Expedia, got all of that experience with the sales side of the business as well, and how to generate more bookings for people.
Yeah, and just getting into that sort of technology side of things.
Yeah, correct. The technology is, so much different than what you see when you're at the operational level of a hotel, and especially a big brand. They've often got, levels of people who are looking after specific parts of the business for them. So you generally don't get exposed to as much of that as you should be.
Mm.
So it was an opportunity to learn all of that and have that technology understanding, and really help to educate myself on the best ways to make these online agents work for you as well.
So you've got the best of both worlds. So one is your kind of consulting with people that have the management rights and even hotels, and you're kind of helping them with their revenue, with their strategy overall, and sort of making sure that they've got the right tools and systems in place, and then analyzing that data so they can get better results, or even just monitoring to make sure that things aren't going badly and that sort of thing, and that the numbers are where they should be. So data driven business. But then you've also said, all right, cool, well, I can do this for other people. I'll just do it myself as well.
That's correct. Yeah. So it was very much we were helping people along the way and helping them understand it, and just thought, what's the point of giving somebody else the strategy if I can sell it to somebody else myself, and work with them and help them grow their business as a real partner in their business. And that's how we see Switch. We're not just a consulting company, we're a partner within their industry, and we're here to help them. We'll often get clients asking us questions that are way outside of our scope, but because we've got that operational knowledge, the strata knowledge and the management rights knowledge, we're able to help them through that process as well.
Gotcha. So then, from there's when people are getting into the business, they quite often some of the first stresses are how do I get started? How do I get properties? How do I get going? Then they kind of get up to a certain scale. They start adding staff, they get more properties, and then and you keep on growing from there. And then at some point, there's this kind of click of, oh, okay, now I need to optimize my business, and I need to make sure that I'm making the right money and pulling the right levers. And that's what I really liked about talking to you about things, because your knowledge on this is just far, far greater than mine, just because of the amount of data that you work with. And even talking to you, it's I wouldn't say that it's arrogance, but you're just confident. You've done this before, so you can see the data and you know what you need to be able to make the right decisions. How would I be right in saying that Switch is like a data driven business, and that you guys really just love the number side of things?
Yeah, very much so. It is all data driven. We look at all the different data points, but it's not just in terms of pricing. It's so many different pieces as well. It's market level trends. It's online agent trends. What is one agent saying that another agent isn't?
Mm.
It's direct booking trends. It's website trends. There's so many different areas and different pieces of data that we're pulling and looking at. You can get lost in it all, and you can then have a bit of decision paralysis sometimes when it comes to it.
Sure.
But it's about identifying what the right pieces of data that you need to get through from there. Definitely is a confidence in what we do and understanding what the data trends tell us. The data is one thing that never lies in a business. If somebody says, we don't get bookings at this period because of this reason, well, what's the reason you're not getting those bookings, and how can we fix that? Because the market data is telling us one thing, your data is telling us another. Where's that disconnect, and how do we fix that?
Yeah, yeah. So, what would you say is the biggest struggle that people have in terms of running their business? What's the main reason why people are coming to you and saying, "Hey, I'm struggling with this," or do they just don't know, and then you kind of tell them what their struggles are?
Yeah, it's a number of different factors. The first one is a lack of understanding within it. A lot of the clients that we have are wearing so many hats in terms of what they're offering and what they're doing is that there's just too much work that's needed to happen and not enough time in the day. So they're often quite time poor as well because they're doing so many different things. And the opportunity to outsource the piece of the business that's going to help drive it to a professional who understands what needs to be done and what levers to pull at a very reasonable price for what they're actually achieving and what they're earning. It's a really good opportunity for our clients to say, and anyone in the industry really, to say, this is a way that I can grow my business. I don't have to worry about it. I get regular reporting on how it's going to continue to grow. And then I can, consistently have catch ups and understand what's being done. So we educate our clients along the way. So that way, then if they really wanted to learn and grow themselves and take that on, they're more than welcome to. So we want our clients to understand what we're doing. But a lot of the time, our clients understand that they have that knowledge after that time of working with us, and then they're still happy to continue to let us do it because they know that their business is in good hands.
Well, that's right, because you guys mainly work on a monthly recurring type model, right?
Correct. Monthly recurring retainers. We don't charge an upfront fee. It's all just no locking contract and monthly retainers. So it's very flexible, very friendly for the partners that we want to work with as well. I mean, very friendly for people who want to work with us and trial with us. Sometimes people will have that thought that they want to see the instant and immediate growth, and it's not always going to happen. And as you would know yourself, you can't flick a switch in the bookings and the business changes tomorrow. It does take a lot of different levers to pull to find the right mix and the right growth potentials for that property.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, I mean, the nice thing with your business model is that you die on your sword, right? If you guys aren't performing, then all right, I don't want to keep doing this. And once again, I'm really want our audience to know this isn't a sales pitch, and I haven't brought Chris on to sell his business. I just want people to know how it works, so that then, for one, maybe you're considering doing something similar to Chris. Maybe two, you need some help and assistance. You just don't really know where you need that help and assistance because you are wearing all those different hats. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. I need to think about these different elements. So from what you're saying is that the main struggle is that people might not know where a lot of their issues are. But let's say that you do talk to someone and you've got the most common things where you're just like, yeah, okay, this is pretty much everyone that we talk to. They just got terrible technology, or they just aren't even looking at this particular part of their business. What are the top few tips that you would give someone?
Yeah. Top few tips is review your pricing against your competitors. So identify who your competitive set is and ensure that your pricing is comparable to them. Review the trends that you're seeing within your market as well. So, are you booking out for Christmas every year in advance? And are your competitors booking out? What's your competitors selling their pricing for at that period? And understanding those unique revenue pricing strategies. Often we find people underprice themselves at the busy times, but will overprice themselves through the lower season periods,
Mm-hmm.
which means that they're really getting the raw end of both sticks because they've got not enough revenue coming at the busy times, but not enough revenue coming in the quiet times as well. So it's about
Because the
developing that.
occupancy drops on the wrong side.
That's correct, yeah. So it's about developing that strategy and then educating our clients on how the best way to approach this conversation is with the unit of short-term rental owner. A lot of people will see an occupancy rate and I say, great, I'm hitting 100% occupancy. How good's this? But they won't they won't look into the fact that they could have been making, an extra 20 or 30 or $40,000 a month for their business, which is their big money when they're starting to talk about it across the full year.
Yeah, and I was talking to one of our colleagues that we both know, and he was saying that he would constantly be told off if they were 100% occupied, because it means that the pricing isn't right. But you never want to be 100% because it means that there's still room in that upper margin to charge people more, and it should be a lower number than that.
Which then that does work very well in a hotel environment, but different scenario for an STR or a management rights business as well. Because in an STR business, we might have 100 properties that we're working with, and that's 100 individual owners. So if we don't hit 100% occupancy, it means one owner is missing out. So
Mm.
whilst you do want to make sure that you're trying to grow your occupancy, grow your revenue, and get those really good returns, at some point you do need to say, well, I need to make sure that owner Y is getting the same as owner X if their properties are comparable. Because you want to ensure that all your owners are getting those good returns. So it's about using that piece as well when you're identifying them.
Oh. But then again, that kind of goes back to Chris to what we're talking about is the different categories, right? So I mean, you're also in the nature of what you guys are doing at Switch is that you're also diluting yourselves across different segments, right? Going, okay, well, we know hotels, we know short-term rentals, we know property management. And then, in effect, I mean, you're not specializing in one field, so there's benefits of going across, but then also potentially missed opportunities by not specializing in one space. How do you guys tackle that sort of that mirage of everything? I mean, I find it all the time when I'm kind of trying to talk to people about what we're doing, and like, well, this part isn't relevant, but this part's relevant. How do you make sure that your team know what they're actually looking at?
Yeah, I think it's all just about education. How do you educate the team to educate the clients to understand the best way to look at things? We're not in the large scale hotel market. There's other consulting companies out there that are fantastic consulting companies, but
Yeah.
they focus on large scale hotels, 400, 500, rooms plus. That's just not our niche. That's not what we work in and not what we're good at. We focus on the niches that we're good at, which is short term rentals, motels, and then of course, management rights businesses.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so I just want to go to another little bit that I was thinking about, and one of them is uh, we're talking about how to solve some people's problems within their business, right? And already given some ideas, some suggestions about things they should think about. So pricing, branding, doing your website, and everything else. In terms of strategies for becoming Chris, what, like I think that's a really interesting part of the journey. I don't know how many people have talked to you about it, and how does one start to sort of get into a psychological state or figure out a path to set up a business where maybe they are consulting, maybe they are. I mean, like you could, because you've got the two sides of the business. Like you wouldn't even need one side of the consulting business, but if they want to grow in that side, what is it, a mindset thing? What do people do? So they're sitting there, they've got, either they haven't started yet, they've got an idea, or they've got a few properties, they like the space, and like I want to build a career out of this.
Yeah. I think that the best thing to look at is how do you develop a reputation and develop a track record. I was quite lucky in the sense that coming out of Expedia on the Gold Coast, I did have properties that I already worked with who we did already have that relationship with. So there was already some level of professional relationship where they understood what we were about. At the same time, we still did have to show and develop and prove what we could do was going to work for our clients as well. So I find the best way to sort of grow to what we have become today was to ensure that you're providing a fantastic service to clients at a fraction of what it should be charged at. I find that we undercharge but over deliver with what we offer. And then if you're looking to get into the clients, start offering people some opportunities to work with you for free. If you're really keen on growing in the space, offer them the opportunity to show them what you can do before you start charging. A
Mm,
lot of people often say work for free, and I think Gary Vee was one of the big ones who said go in there and ask everyone and tell them that you work for free. But growing a business is still a great way to be able to show these people what you can do for them. And it's the same for us now. We still have some clients who are umming and ahhing about joining us, and we might offer them an incentive to sign up with us. That way, then they can see the value that we're going to bring to their business. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day is how do we provide value to them and how do we make their business grow? Because if we're not doing that, there's no point in performing this.
yeah, that's interesting. That's almost like that kind of intern path, right? Like you're interning your own business and you're helping others out. The one thing I think people don't appreciate when you're first starting, you don't have all the skills. You don't know exactly how it's going to work. You don't know where your strengths and your weaknesses are, and it actually costs that business owner a lot of time and energy to be involved with you, because it's time that they could be doing something else, potentially working with someone that will charge, but then it's not going to be as time intensive, because time is the biggest struggle for people and business owners, is something that we lack, especially if we're spending the whole day on our smartphones. But I'm digressing a bit, but we bring on staff to help us with our clients, to build websites, do marketing and branding. And one of the first things we generally do is we'll give one away for free. We'll find a client and then teach our staff through that process. And then that staff member's like, oh my god, this is really hard. I'm like, it is really, really hard. And they get to deal with all facets of it. But by the time they finish that, they're in a much better position to then say the second time, hey, you know what? Actually, the service, now I know what I'm providing. I know what the value is that I provide. I know that I can do it, and to a good enough level. So that's a really good tip in terms of people getting started, is giving it a go. Well, how do you do that if you don't have any money?
You got to do it at the same time as doing your other job. We'll take the risk. Find a rich partner. No, it's just about developing yourself into the industry.
Mm,
Taking that risk. It's always going to be a risk when you leave any job. Can you do it at the same time as a current role? That's always an opportunity if you can, and really work on developing and honing your skills.
yeah.
because you'll find generally within that first month or so, people can understand what you're all about. And especially if they're your sole client at that time, the service that you provide them will be second to none. So whilst you're then going to continue to grow, you want to make sure that you continue to service those existing clients to make sure that they're happy with what they're receiving.
Yeah. And I think it's about being able to distill what problems people really have. Like that they've got, that the occupancy is low, right? Or that they know nothing about social media. I mean, like if you could quite easily become a social media consultant just by doing some online courses, just getting stuck in doing the hard work, and then all of a sudden you could spin up a business, because it's just a thing that people need help with, and everybody needs help with it, and the tools are out there, and it's actually relatively easy to start to build a business and an agency nowadays. Obviously the prices you charge can be different because it gets commoditized, but the point being is that if you can identify the problems, and for you it wasn't by accident. I mean, like, you worked in hotels for a long time, and then you switched to Expedia, and then through all of that time you picked up enough knowledge to then be able to go, actually, these problems that people are facing, they're common. It is a skill set that I've built up over time. So you actually did it within your own career.
Correct. Yeah. So it was all about developing that skill set as I was continuing to work, and then saying, well, this is how a hotel operation would handle it. How does this strategy that I'm developing with Expedia, how is it going to relate to a management rights client? How's it going to relate to a motel? How's it going to relate to a hotel? Does this strategy that I'm suggesting, is it going to be correct for them based on what their needs are for growth? Obviously, through that period, you're talking to people. You're also talking to educated people as well. Revenue managers, sales managers, these people who are, at the top of echelon of the Gold Coast, and have a really good understanding of the levers to pull. And you're having a conversation with them about what levers you should pull together, and then they're providing you that feedback loop to say, well, we don't think this is going to work well for us.
Mm.
So it's about understanding that knowledge, and pulling that knowledge as you're continuing to grow throughout your career, and retaining those tidbits of information that are going to help you along.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think you're trying to, so building those relationships, and I think that was the other point that you mentioned, is you need to become part of the industry and for people to get to know you, which is really hard. It's really hard to do, and it takes a lot of experience. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time for people to trust you, and especially at the start. Yeah, I mean, you see people go gung ho and say, "I'm an expert at this stuff," and they just haven't had enough experience to get there. And like, I've never claimed to be an expert. Maybe within my marketing, I'm an expert in this in relative sense to a bunch of others, but I'm definitely not a PhD sort of professor in the field. But becoming known in the industry for something can really help you with building the business, because people trust you.
Yeah, I agree, and it's about also developing those relationships, not just with hotels or clients, but providers as well. Us developing that relationship to then understand what we both can offer.
Mm.
Developing relationships with property management systems, and these types of people who are talking to clients every day, and they can say, well, you have a need here. Maybe Chris can be the right person, or Switch can be the right person to help you through this process. It's the same with growing a short-term rental business as well. It's about having that understanding, and having the runs on the board for people to understand what it's about, but also networking within the industry. So, as a short-term rental business, you might network with local real estate agents. They might be
Yeah.
selling a property, and they'll say, this is something that we've got available. They might refer it into you. Now, however you look after them with a referral fee, or whatever else, you might not do anything like that. But at the same time, it's all an opportunity for a business to grow, leverage your relationships that you've got to continue to build that business.
Chris, I'm very, very conscious that we're quickly running out of time, because I'd like to keep these around about half an hour, so that if people have got other things to do in their day, it's not just us that they're listening to. But in I don't want this to age, so we will be talking at Strive at our conference. You will be there. You'll be doing a masterclass. You'll be talking about pricing. I actually prefer the term pricing than revenue management, because I think that if you're a revenue manager, you understand it. If you talk about pricing and occupancy, people are like, oh yeah, I want more revenue, I want more money. But revenue management is it's a term that doesn't get as many clicks. Let's put it that way. But you'll be imparting some practical advice that will help people with their business. Can you give a bit of an insight as to sort of where your thoughts are in terms of some of the content that you'll be talking about?
Yeah, definitely. So some of the content we'll be talking about will be focusing on how online agents are not the enemy. They are your friend. Use them the right way and they can be fantastic for growing your business. If you are doing things the right way, you should only have to market through booking.com once to get that customer. We'll be talking about developing strategies to get those agents selling better for you, especially if you're in a market where it's really, you know, there's a lot of players within the market. How do you make
Competitive.
yourself stand out? That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Competitive. So when you're in a landscape like that, and then obviously it's about developing a strategy to suit your needs. So looking at your data, how can you understand your data to make the best decisions for your business?
Yeah, and one of the main reasons why I really like this is obviously you're there as representative of Switch, but you're not there to particularly just to pick up clients. That you're there to sort of help people out and to find out some more methods and strategies. Because at the end of the day, you know that they'll probably use you or someone else. It doesn't really matter. To kind of get them from where they are to where they need to be. And it's all just kind of part of the journey of sticking everything together. And for you, what I love about it is that we've got at Stride, we've got tech companies that are coming in. We've got operators, like small operators, but we've also got people that are running thousands of short-term rentals. But where you sit is really nice because you have the experience across the board of lots of different things happening. So therefore you can distill the parts which you think are going to be most relevant to the room that's going to be there on the day.
Yeah, exactly. So it is about providing that value to the people. This is all information that anyone can understand and anyone can develop from themselves. This is just an opportunity for us to help educate people and understand and really reduce that time frame. A lot of this that we've developed is through conversations with online agents, it's through our own testing and learning. I mean, identifying the best way that these are going to work. And a lot of short-term operators or short-term rental operators might not have this kind of exposure. Maybe their businesses are big enough where booking.com or another supplier has a dedicated manager for them. There's a lot of different things that they might be missing out on until they get to that kind of level. This is an opportunity for us to help them get to that level faster, generate more bookings, make themselves more money, make their owners more money. If we get clients out of it, great. If not, it's just a great opportunity to help give back to the industry. We've got more than enough clients and we're continuing to grow. And we continue to develop our STR businesses as well. So it's a really good and exciting opportunity to be getting in there.
Well, yeah, and I've got no doubt in your mind. I mean, I remember when I was talking to you about this, you're also excited about who else is going to be speaking and what you guys can learn, and you send your team down as well to learn. So that I completely, I love it. Look, Chris, uh, I've got no doubt that we're going to do this again in a year or two's time. I'm really interested to
Sure.
see where we'll both be in terms of our businesses and what we'll be talking about at that time. I appreciate you a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing you in not long. For people to reach out to you to connect with you, what's the best way?
Just Google us, Switch Hotel Solutions. You'll find all of our details on there. More than happy to have a chat with anybody. We can give a full free health check on your business, give you some feedback on where we think you can grow as well. More than happy to help in any way that we can. Very excited to see where the next period is going to take us both. Hopefully, yeah, we've got a pretty audacious goal to get to 600 short-term rentals within the next 18 months.
Oh, wow.
It's almost a doubling in size of business. We're pretty confident that we can get there and the growth trajectory that we're sort of seeing in the forecasts. But as always, mate, love the work that you do.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And folks, if you're tuned in on the podcast, make sure you leave us a review, give the 5 stars, that sort of thing. If you're on the YouTubes, then like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Let us know about your revenue management strategies and whether you're going to come and see both of us in the flesh in a few weeks' time. Thanks so much, Chris. Really appreciate you.
Thanks, Bart. Really appreciate it, mate.
Take it easy.
Thank you. Bye.